Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So this is the very, very first Zine Mela. So I used to run a zine festival for 5 years called DIY Cultures, and my ambition at the time was to overthrow white supremacy, capitalism, and imperialism via a zine fair. So these days, zine fairs are just like big markets. So I think zine fairs are about making new ways of connecting people, of creating new orders of the world, of new forms of connection, right? So I made my first ever zine over 30 years ago on my father's photocopier, which is this, in down the road in Tooting, where I was born and grew up. And this whole area is where I spent my teenage years. There was never art centre here before, so Mark set this up. The table behind you was actually a junkies table, apparently, and he cleared up this entire space and turned it into art centre, and I've been invited here. So what we're going to do for this zine fair today, so like every single week there seems to be a new zine fair. So you see that beardy guy from Page Masters again, but there's all these exciting things happening. So the first zine fair in South Asia, done by the artist in the back there, Aki Thami, who's an indigenous woman from the Himalayas, and Himanshu from Bombay Underground, whose zines you'll see all around and is all on the table in the other reading room. So that was set up in 2016. And yeah, really, so there's all these exciting new geographies picking up in the international landscape of zine fairs. So the zine world is different, the zine scene is different. And I don't know, I've chosen to focus this zine fair on South Asia because there's actually loads of exciting things happening, but there's very little dissemination of knowledge or connection. So I went into the largest comic book shop in Amsterdam called Henk, and the two white beardy guys, and I said to them, do you have anything from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, in the entire shop, and this is the largest comic book shop in the whole of Europe, had nothing. And I was sort of almost laughed out of the shop. They were like, we might have something in 3 years' time, or you're the first person to ask. And actually, the largest comic book fair in the world is in Dhaka, Bangladesh. The largest zine fair in the world is in Mumbai. The largest photography biennial, which has been going for decades, invites everyone from Noam Chomsky to Arundhati Roy. My friend Shadul Alam is also is in Bangladesh. Vengi's going to tell you about what happens in Shanghai as well. So, and so my inspiration for this zine fair wasn't just all this great stuff happening in South Asia. Our mutual friend B from Hong Kong, she was in residency in a place called Studio Voltaire in South London, and she in a small little room she did this East and Southeast Asian zine fair, and I had such a lovely day and it worked so well. I was like, wow, you can actually bring whole continents and connections through just a few small rooms. And one of my inspirations is the London Spanish book and zine fair, which has been going on for a number of years. So the founder of that was supposed to be a speaker, but was sadly unwell. So she made this beautiful video. So we're just going to start with this. So this is the London Spanish Zine Fair.
Hi, Zine Mela. Thank you for inviting us to participate at the Zine Fair. I'm Silvia de Mechila, and I'm the founder and director of the London Spanish Book and Zine Fair. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of our story. We started in 2011 publishing a magazine in Spanish in the UK. Cultural printed magazine. We printed this beautiful magazine, not this size. This is so much bigger. The magazine was A5, and we published quarterly during 10 years. In 2020, we decided that we couldn't print it anymore because it wasn't feasible, and also with the pandemic and Brexit, we needed to stop printing it. So based on that experience, we decided in 2019 to start a new book and zine fairs. We have a wonderful team. I think that we have the team of love, and I'm always very thankful to the volunteers because without them this fair would be impossible to do. Once again, thank you for inviting us. I hope that you enjoyed our story and it motivates you to start your own zine fair. So I wish you the best of luck.
So there's something in how the Spanish language can remap the whole city, can open up repositories of knowledge and open up new communities and assemblies. And we have Wenzi, who set up the first Sino-diasporic publishing fair, which had zines, which was very exciting. It was last year, and the current one is opening in...
Yeah, at the same time, September.
In September. So do make sure you go to that. It was one of the most exciting, it really is one of the best exciting zine fairs on the international scene and national scene and in London. And you also have the Pigeon Library, which is about people who speak English as a second language and their orientation around the city. So you're going to tell us all about your exciting there, but please welcome Wenzi.
Hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Wenxin, and I am the co-founder of Outland Publishing Fair, or Outland Sino-Diasporic Publishing Fair, which has changed our name. And yeah, so the fair started, the inaugural edition was last year, so this year will be the second one. So compared to London Spanish Book Fair and both of your practices, we are still at a very early stage. But yeah, thank you for having me. And so yeah, Outland, we spotlight Chinese and Sino-diasporic publishing creativity and practices, basically all over the world, because I believe that Chinese diaspora has been a global phenomenon for a long tradition. And yeah, we considered a lot about our name, and we decided on the term Sino-diasporic, because it's not only about the Chinese as an ethnicity, but also as a linguistic, cultural tradition. And also there are second gen, third gen immigrants in North America, in Europe, and in many other parts of the world, but still share some sort of a cultural tradition. And so that's what we hope to start up with this fair, and it's targeted, let's say, demographics. And so yeah, last year we have around 33 exhibitors, and it's in White City. So about half of them are based locally in the UK, and we also have international participants in the United States, for example, in Germany, and in Southeast Asia, and also a lot of them are from China, and including Hong Kong. Unfortunately, we didn't have Taiwanese participants last year, but we hope that this year we can get some more participation. And yeah, basically that's it.
How do they anticipate the international?
Yeah, that's interesting, because I think one of the pioneers, and maybe some of you have seen them elsewhere, it's called 51 Persona. It's one of the biggest Chinese independent publisher, and the project starts as an exhibition in the Shanghai Biennale in 2015, and since then they transferred it into a publishing project that they believe this can reach a broader audience through the printed matter, rather than something that happens sometime, like a happening in the city. The founder, called Chen Yun, she was unfortunately sentenced. Well, this is another story, because last year has been a complicated scene for Chinese mainland independent publishing, and a lot of risks and dangers has been seen among the community. But the founder and the community of 51 Persona managed to ship their publications all over the world and mobilize a huge network of volunteers to present their publication and watch their stalls at every part of the world. Basically, you can find them in Australia, and at the same time in a small town in America. And also this year, at the week that they present in Outland last year, they were also at the same time in Berlin and in Norway. So that's, I think it shows us the possibility of what printed matter can be, and how it builds on a network that enables dialogical exchange through volunteers, through readership, and also through the pages and the stories that they carry. So basically we copy their model, and we're very lucky to have a bunch of volunteers that has been very devoted and very responsible for the little assignments that we put them through to present the international participants and get to help people know better with the publications that the authors and the creators that are on site. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you know that there's a huge Chinese diaspora in Calcutta?
Oh,
and also in Mumbai as well.
Okay.
And we even have and the Chinese diaspora has been there since the 19th century, and we also have Indian Chinese fusion food that's come through the thing. So maybe for next, I can't tell, there will be some hybrid multipolar power that will kind of throw the Western order as Zine Fairs.
I'm very looking forward to that.
Okay, so so as someone living in London, assuming we're the centre of the world, so so one of the most one of my favourite places to be is the Bradford Zine Fair and the organisation Radical, right? And I also imagine that the London art world's full of these sort of wankers and pretentious people and curators, and also imagine people in Bradford are more honest and sincere.
You're a landslide northern viewership of us.
So that's true, right? And that's why your Zine Fair is so lovely. Which Bradford Zine Fair, which is opening also in September. There's also a number of Radical publications in this room, which is my zine collection from over 30 years. And I've also tabled that. They're lovely. It's one of the most welcoming places.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell us about Bradford Zine Fair and Radical.
Okay, I've got my speech to
Cool.
Hi, my name is Monaza. I started something called Radical Press. I cringe at a little bit now by the name, but I probably shouldn't. Which was just a mashup of names of Bradford and Radical. And Bradford is a city in the north, which is actually the UK City of Culture this year. Many moons ago, I apologetically made my first zine called White People Proverbs. And off the back, I have some to hand out to. Look at me, it's so white. There you go. Have a browse, have a chat. Off the back of that, I made zine friends, and off the back of that, one of the friends came together one day and was like, "We should do a zine fair." And I was like, "Do you think people look cool?" She said, "Yeah. I know the woman at the library. I think we can do it." I'm like, cool. And before you know it, we're running our first zine fair 5 or 6 years ago. There have been previous iterations of zine fairs in Bradford, but in its current iteration, it's been going for about 5-6 years. There was 3 of us, and we put on a zine fair at City Library. We got the space for free. We took the stallholder money and used it to pay for the publishing, printing of flyers. And we knew the local distro company, and they distroed for free for us. And that was the first zine fair. We set up a Gmail account. Before you know it, we had a zine fair. And we slowly, each year, we just kept doing it. We might keep getting the library for free. They're very happy to have us. It's bang slap in the middle of the centre of town. We don't have funding. We've never really had funding. Mainly because we all work full time. The collective is me actually now leading it, and other people fell away for various reasons. And so you've ended up with a zine fair that happens in City Library, in the city centre. It has a maximum capacity, we can fit 20 tables in the space, and that involves pushing away bookshelves and such. And we use a computer room around the corner for our talks, which again, we squeeze in people in a similar situation like this. And it is a labour of love, and we programme 2 talks every year, and that's the zine fair itself. And over the years, it's evolved as we would, without being explicitly, when we would curate, I guess, or programme the talks, a programme that decide who was coming along, we tried to, without asking particular people to apply, we weren't sure or how to ask who to apply, but we always wanted people to apply who were had seen with a message, or were social justice focused, or had global majority background, or a work that reflected global majority cultures. And slowly over time we've been curating, but I think next year or this year will be the first time we explicitly say half the stallholders we're aiming to have global majority background, and also 1 talk every year will be a global majority taught, and this week we've been contemplating even the notion of it being a closed space, so there wouldn't be, it would be for global majority of audience to attend. And it's been an interesting learning curve. And I think when you come to Bradford, I think having to display it can sometimes warp your perception of what a zine fair in the north could look like. And it did mine too, because growing up, we went to Hampshire's DIY culture zine fair. And so it gives you this very diverse art form and culture and scene, right, landscape. And so I would make like political zines or things that were very like in your face or very specifically about Bradford, and so people would be excited, but then you'd go to somewhere like another northern zine fair and you'd do terribly, and the audience was all a particular paleness and you'd be like, and no one wanted to buy your things, and they walked away with pictures of monsteras instead. The monstera relief and the cat. And you're like, oh, okay, the scene depends on where you go, you'll be received differently. So it became quite imperative off the back of that to have Bradford Zine Fair to be reflective of the city and to actually push and challenge people. And so we've tried to do that through the programming and the stalls we hold. It feels every time and every year we do it, it feels like a happy accident that it's successful. It's very well attended, the talk rooms are full every time. When we are moving to like a precipice where we have to decide how we keep going, because we do know well that everyone's feels incredibly time poor. I have to say myself included. And it does feel like running up to it, you're out with your begging bowl, like again, trying to hustle people who love to tell you how great the Zine Fair is, how much they love going. And they haven't got an empty wallet, you see. It's trying to move to a model where they can sustain themselves a bit more. That's the story of Bradford Zine Fair. It's happening this year in September on a day I don't remember because it's a really busy time. It is happening on the 27th, Saturday 27th, in City Library, but it would be... No, you have to move it! This cannot be!
We just announced it.
You have to move his. He'll work it out. Like, he'll move his. It's agreed.
Will be 26 to 28, so 3 days. Yeah, in central London, in Holborn.
That's not so bad. Come to ours. Take a detour to the White City.
No, in Holborn.
In Holborn.
Yeah.
In Holborn, we'll take, so you can do both, guys. Remember, staycation or thing. We can do this.
I'm not doing one this year, so I'll leave you to.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
One of the things I found quite charming about Bradford Zine Fairs, one of your collectives, Mike, he made his first zine over the age of 70.
Yeah. So Mike is a graphic designer lecturer by trade. And he discovered zine. Even Jean made zine, discovered later. He's a self-taught collage artist who made zine later in life and went like full-time later in life. But Mike Barrett, he's from design on Instagram. He discovered zines in his in later in life.
70s,
in his 70s. And off the back of it, he's quite prolific as well. He made a particular kind, and you can buy a compilation of his zines in a book now as well. Called the Bradford Book of Zines. And they're whimsical, funny, a bit surreal, silly. They play with like local history. But Mike no longer makes zines per se. He's not well. He did a lot of work, and Mike got diagnosed with like Parkinson's off the back of it, and then a year and a half ago, he got diagnosed with cancer as well. So, but his spirit is as such every single year. I'd ask in the group, like, anyone can update the logo with the new year, the date and whatnot. And Mike would say, I'll do it. And he said every year he would like get on his laptop. And even this year's logo, because it took a decline, but he's now in a care setting. But he still, before the hospital visit, he like still found a time, despite his health, like to get on his laptop and update our logo. But yeah, so like Mike's very much like the teaching part.
You also bring together generations as well.
Yeah.
Different people.
And like the commitment to being part of the fair.
Part of it's also interesting how the name Radical came about. So I came to Bradford University to speak about Muslim political prisoners under the War on Terror at the Table Art trial, and I think we were scared it would be blacklisted by the Prevent programme, the state surveillance programme, or one of the neocon think tanks. And then it was like a slip of tongue. I think it was me. I said,
we went.
They might think we're radical.
Yes, we were in a cafe down the road after the talk, and Andrew was like, you should like start a thing, you should do it. And I was like, I should. Other self-taught artists were like, know your like self-esteem's like in the gutter, like, but people like proper artists, they went to school. And my weapon is like tracing paper. But yeah, so we ended up saying, oh, you should do it. I'm like, okay. And we came up with a name, and I think that week I went home and I started like playing with the idea of a logo. Before you know it, we had like a name and a kind of slogan of sorts, which is, if we don't tell our stories, no one else will. And it's supposed to like, create this sense of urgency.
A lot of the people upstairs in the Zine Fair, it's their first ever Zine Fair, their first ever zine. There are a lot of people put their creative energy towards lots of things. So you had this Sri Lankan diasporic avant-garde musicians, they translate to zine. You had someone called Kieran Kaur, and I said, why don't you make a zine about cause for your children? I think that's on the communal table. And so so I hope everyone here who hasn't made a zine will make their first zine, and even set up their own zine festival too. So we go from Bradford to Beirut. So one of the best bookshops in London was the Mosaic Rooms bookshop, which was a hub for like Swana and the indie publishing from the Arab world, and Zine Publish, and they also set up their own zine and book fair, alternative publishing fair, called the Small Press Fair, and it still exists in a online forum, so you can still buy stuff from it, right? And you still circulate around Zine Fairs, and you're going to tell us about your Mosaic Rooms.
I think I've got one.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Saeed. I run the bookshop and kind of literary program at the Mosaic Rooms, as what you were saying. And the Mosaic Rooms in general, if you're not familiar, is a non-profit gallery and art space, and mainly focuses on contemporary art from the Arab region and beyond. And about in 2020, we started doing a publishing zine fair called Small Press Fest, which focuses mainly on kind of zines and small publishers, independent publishers from the Arab region, but also in the diaspora and from the region, but also artists, writers, like publishers and zine makers from global majority backgrounds in general. And I think I had a different journey than you two, because I was by institution technically making this fair. So it wasn't super difficult in the beginning. We usually do it.
And you went to Goldsmiths as well.
And I went to Goldsmiths. I don't how is it?
Very confident world.
Goldsmiths.
You're backed by an institution called.
Yes, called the Mosaic Rooms.
Mosaic.
Which is where. Yeah, we started in 2022, and usually it happens in the summer, around July usually, and we have also a program that accompanies the people who are tabling, and the program is really varied from, we had poetry readings in the first year, but also a kind of short film screening that was curated by Fairs Publishing. We've had a writing workshop that was focused on literature and solidarity, which took place in 2023, I think, which was organized with the 87 Press and McCann Rights. We've had talks, I mean, yes, and last year we had a Afghan kite making workshop as well. But this year we are not doing a fair because the Mosaic Rooms is going through a transformation, and just to keep it short, we're doing refurbishments in the building, and we host the fair at our building, which is in Earls Court. And yes, it's not possible to do this year, and it was just easier to skip the year than to try and find a place, because there's other sorts of transformations also. Moving from being part of a foundation to an independent charity. We're also switching director, and there's also things happening. Yeah. Sorry, I forget something, so just like ask me.
One of the things that was special about the Mosaic Rooms is that during the current genocide in Gaza, you used your gallery space as a healing space and togetherness space. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so even before, I think it was that space, and it became ever more important during and since, and that's why also it's a bit heartbreaking that the space is going through this refurbishment, which means that the space is closed and we can't offer it, and we can't have it as a space for people to come. And we've organized multiple gathering events, and just having it open, because it's a free space, so to go and see the exhibition, because the majority of our events are all free as well, and just have it as a space for the Palestinian community, the Arab, and anyone in general who feels like they need a safe space in this time, and who feel that they can just be in a space without having to censor themselves or to feel a certain way, that they can just come and be and feel safe. Very important. And also, like last iteration of Small Press Fest, which was last year, we also had a kind of table that was curated by someone called Beata Lee, which was kind of a solidarity zine table with different students and people from Hong Kong, and I think different places also in Asia, with Palestine, and also with different scenes that were picked up from different encampments, different universities around London. The table showcased the scene, but was also a space where you could come and create your own scene as well.
Thank you. I always felt really when Lebanon was being bombed, I had to come in the bookshop and give Saeed a hug. I wondered how he coped with just a day job whilst seeing that level of destruction. Before I open up to the floor, I would just like to ask, so as you can see my exhausted face, my bloodshot eyes, like doing a Zine Fair, DIY culture is exhausting, right? I'm alive. How do you, why do I do it? I think Asian parents sacrifice, right? Where that's from. So how do you, you're all still going, right? So that's what I'm asking.
So,
how do you stay alive?
how do I stay alive? I guess.
And you're doing another one.
Yeah, it's getting harder.
So I was just gonna say, during this last week, I was like, I'm never gonna do this ever again. And then you do it, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm already planning next year.
Yeah. In the lead up to Bradford Zine Fair every year, I go, I'd never do this again because on the day, by the end of the day, some people come up to you and say, can't wait for next year. You're like,
Exactly the same.
can't wait, like, you have like, I'm looking for a holiday. Stop saying that out loud. It's like a threat almost, but also it becomes like obligatory almost. It feels like they have to. A bunch of people came up to me at the end of this fair and said they can't wait for the next fair. So I must, and also belonging to ancestors who are like, seem to walk the path of servitude. Like, if you're not serving your community, what are you doing? But, you know, it's quite challenging. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's sort of this pressure from people that are very, very excited to see, especially that was our first one, and everyone's getting too excited about it. To have, you know, sort of their own cultural space to present their work. I mean, I've been taking part in a great lot of, not a great lot, but quite a lot of Zine Fairs and artwork fairs last year. I also tabled at Multiverse Fest. And I think usually I'm the only East Asian face. For example, in page 1. No, they've been very kind to us. But I mean, so if you've been to art colleges in recent years, you'll be very surprised to see how many like international, East Asian international students, and especially Chinese students they have taken, and sucks all their tuition fees and kick them out of the city. So I think, well, somehow I think that's relevant to people from other backgrounds as well, from the global majority. And it's not because, well, people are trying to stay. I know a lot of people are trying to stay, but there is not really a space for them that they feel comfortable and feel confident in showing their work and feeling relevant to the scene, to the audience, to people that show interest in their work. So I think it's necessary to have our own space. And each year, I mean, last year I did it, and this year I also wrote a letter because I'm a curator. So this is a curator's way of organizing a Zine Fair. I wrote a letter to, like an invitation letter to call people to take part in. Maybe I can read a little bit about it. Yeah, I wrote this year. Dear fellow publishers, a year ago, we called for Sinophone publications as books on an open-ended voyage. However, we have witnessed over the past year a world where the promises of multilateralism erode and protectionism arises. The success of the first edition of Outland proves to us that an art book fair or Zine Fair is more than just a marketplace for printed matter. It is a vital porous node for circulation. It showed possibilities of a staging post, a point of transit where creative works from across the global Sino-diaspora could cross borders that politics often close, connecting distant practitioners through pages passed from hand to hand. And I believe that's, you know, the meaning and the aim that we hope to keep this going on.
If anyone from the audience has questions or experiences or comments they'd like to share, please.
I'm just interested to know what are some of your favourite zines that you've come across that you're using.
My favourite zine is by my rival Enemy. I used to run DIY Cultures with Sophie and Yazi from Rabbit's Road Press. We worked together for 6 years. We both came from Tooting together. We did Tooting Zine Fair. And so in this room here, I included her zine. This zine changed my life, and it changed the way I saw the world. So it's about, it's a hijabi zine. It's called Talk to the Scarf Because the Face Ain't Listening. And I bought this zine about 20 times. I think even though me and Sophie is from Pakistan and my family is from Bangladesh, so we had a 1971 moment. But even though we're not personally, she's my hero as well. So she set up these. She got like, DIY Cultures was the only zine fair like run by hijabi women, and she brought this space of like piety and like people who practice and normalise them, and she does so many great things. That doesn't sound like a rival enemy, does it? So I bought this zine, and it just these experiences. But at the time, me, Saba Khan, who is exhibiting upstairs, she has this beautiful trilogy about her grandmother. It was like 15 years ago, so we were part of this thing called London Zine Symposium. Like again, like it was the entire room would be white hipsters, apart from me and Sophie and Saba. And one other person, and these zine fairs would be off Brick Lane, so they'd be in areas which were majority black and brown, Somali, Bangladesh, who'd been there for generations. And you'd see the same pattern in Deptford, in Peckham, and also in New York. If you go to Queens or Brooklyn, exact same pattern. You have this sort of white hipster place who become gatekeepers, who run the show, who somehow manage to fill the whole room with people who look like themselves. And also, and then resell ethnic goods at higher prices and stuff. The politics of gentrification, which we'll discuss in the panel at 3. So this is my favourite zine by my rival enemy, which you can read in the reading room over there.
I'm still thinking of one. Gosh, what do I go to when people come over? I have to read this one.
Gotcha. I have too many favourites. Here's another one. Another one. This is a person who set up Bombay. Was why you think set up Bombay's Zine Fest, the first zine fair in South Asia. It's by Akithami. So it's about Akithami is an oppressed indigenous woman from the Himalayas, and it's about like ecosystems and like ecocide and but there was, again, it wasn't even the case. In our case, we had a white hipster zine scene and we transformed it, so now it looks like this, right? In their case, there was no zine scene at all, and they created it all from scratch, from the ground up. So that's super inspirational for me. And and then again, from not just like a colonised nation, but colonised within the colonised, like the whole story of Adivasi people who are like the most brutalised. So that's also my favourite scene. Whilst people have thought of their favourite zine.
I've got my own, I keep forgetting. So, one that I love to share and buy and give to other people is called Burning Women. It's by Past Tense Press, which I found during a part of DIY Cultures many moons ago, and run by a bloke from Sheffield. And it tells the story of how witch hunts were directly related to the rise of capitalism. Like it was a deliberate effort to the idea of modern patriarchy and capitalism came hand in hand. And it's an amazing story of how what is perceived to be a witch was, and how it was part of like ending commons and walls and fences going up. It's an amazing version of history. But yeah, it's called Burning Women, and you can still buy it, I think, on Etsy or from small Past Tense Press, and it's really, really cool. That's the one I think that I share with people a lot because it's a refreshing take. And it's by a mystery writer called Lady Stardust, who I've never tracked down. There's one I regret giving away, which is now lost to the world. It was called The Bicycle. Zine was the history of the bicycle and how it emancipated women, because they were meant to change the way you dress so you could ride the bike. It was called The Freedom Machine. So anyone knows? Let me know. I want mine back. I regret giving it away. But yeah, those are two. A new-ish zine press that I'm also a big fan of is called, what are they called? Oh no, I've forgotten. it's gone from my brain. They're based in what are they called? Abolish Manchester is the tagline. What are they called? They publish a what do you call it? The Printer Press, the magazine. What is it called? They were at the last Zine Fair. How do I not remember my own store holders? Oh no. Yeah, and so they have it today. Their idea is to promote. The tagline is Abolish Manchester, and they publish a regular magazine which documents the history and the musings and the culture of all the cities around what are also called Greater Manchester, what gets absorbed, right? London absorbs these small towns. So they're about, I guess, deconstructing Manchester and celebrating those small northern towns and their history. And they do it via this zine press they have. And it's, they do also sell a tea, which is brilliant, so it can be satirical. Funny, historical, they're interviewing local people about like this obscure like graffiti on a wall that's been there for like 20 years, or they're talking about how a small town was part of something bigger. A lot of these are like former industrial small towns, and they have a tea which I think sums up really well what they're about, and it says like Stockport is real, the government knows about it. So yeah, they call Stat Mag, that's it, STNT, and and they talk about like a guided tour through the Vegas of the North, which is like that cool, things like that. So yeah, I think celebrating those North, you can celebrate a hidden part of culture that you won't typically come across. It's always a fun, exciting, I think, what makes the culture so special. Yeah, sorry.
So I'm not sure about still thinking on the favourites, but I think a plugin I can do, which I've got 2 publications that we as the Mosaic Rooms have been involved with recently, and I'll pass them around. The first one is called Under the Glare of the Moon, and it's was created in relation to an exhibition we had, which was called Under the Shade of the Sun. In the Shade of the Sun. And which was between, I think, 2023 and end of 2023, beginning of 2024. And the zine has a text by Adam Hajjahia and artwork by Haytham Haddad, who, and if you pull it apart, one side is the poster, and then the other side is the text, and the exhibition in general kind of focused on the relationship between aesthetics and politics and arts, and in the context of Palestinian arts and Palestinian culture. And the English edition is in green, the Arabic is in orange, so I can pass them around if you want to have a look. And the second one is the second issue of the Stewart magazine, which was, when did they do this? I think also 2023. And it was designed by Bruce Nurden, who's part of the Stewart Collective. And the kind of magazine features a lot of different artists and focuses on solidarity with Palestine, and there's some really, really beautiful artworks in there and contributions.
My favorite. Yeah, I was about to mention B because, well, I want to say something from England, but since this is recorded, maybe I should. But yeah, there's an. Okay, let's say. My own zine. Yeah, I'll talk about maybe the queer lexicons. Yeah, I made in collaboration with Beatrix Pham, based in Hong Kong, who is the founder of the Queer Reads Library, and the zine is made after a collaborative workshop where participants contribute their own queer slangs in the Chinese language, and later we edit it into a zine. And We had 3 editions of it, and now we're editing the 4th one. So yeah. And also, I'd like to mention, should I? Zine Info, based in Wuhan, in mainland China. They are maybe the only real info shops in China mainland, because well, China has been a world factory for more than 20 years. And so, if you come to our fair, you can barely see any zines like this, because we can just basically get to print stuff, very nice and very cheaply. So the zines in China are always too well made to be called a zine. But still, I think Zine Info use their photocopier very well to create stuff that the official, the big factories that wouldn't take the risk to print. And my favorite is the manga series that talks about the autonomous space in the city, where Wuhan is known for the first outbreak of COVID. And since then, the control of public spaces has been tougher. So I think the Zine series has been a very tongue-in-cheek way to talk about, for example, how homeless people can make use of the public space and stuff like that. Maybe I shouldn't talk too much for safety reasons.
So thank you to the panel for all the insights and knowledge and world orientation, and they're all productively in the bloodstream of the DIY cultures nationally and internationally. And be around for a while if you want to talk to them. So this exhibition is open until the 14th of August, so you can come out, hang here. There'll be zine clubs, garum clubs, and late afternoons. The next talk will take place here at 3. It's about housing and homelands and zine creative values from the journalist Kieran Yates. And there'll be another talk at 5 which would feature, so you mentioned the student encampment, so there's a new publication about all the student encampments which will come out when that's at 5 p.m. So one last round of applause for the panel.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.